Hi, Matadors. It's your principal, Julie Parks, here to give you some updates on distance learning, or how I like to refer to it, learning all the time. We received an email from Ed Services recently outlining our updated plans as a district as we move into this next phase of distance learning, and there have been a lot of questions. So I'm hoping to clarify some of those for you today. I'm giving you a warning, this presentation is a bit long, so bear with me. As we talk about these new plans, I need to start by emphasizing our why. Our why at Miramani High School has remained exactly the same. Whether we are learning in salmon-colored walls or from the comfort of our own couch, we believe that all students can learn and connect at high levels. And I want to assure you that as we've made every single plan from the first day of closure until today and then beyond, we have kept this in the center of what we do. That has not changed. And that same thing is true for our teachers as well. So as I go through this presentation, I want to hold that in the center because this is really what we believe, and these are our values as we make our decisions. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to implement distance learning. Again, some things are staying just the same. You've seen this graphic before. These are the three main things that make our school work: excellent teaching, student support, and a safe and healthy climate. These are our main objectives on how to get things done, whether we are at school or whether we're at home. Today in this presentation, we're going to focus on excellent teaching and what that looks like during distance learning. Excellent teaching for us means engaging standards-based instruction. That is absolutely the goal. And in order to do that, we need to ensure access for all of our students, the development of skills for our students and our staff to be able to do this, and excellence through feedback. So let's go through that. Beginning with access, we have to start with technology needs. And when we're learning from home, there are some tech requirements. First, I want to emphasize that students can work on most devices and access their School Loop and Google Apps for Education accounts remotely. Most students are already doing this and have checked in with teachers over the last week and a half. All students should get in the habit of checking both of these platforms regularly so that they know what's happening in their classes. We are making no assumptions that all of our families have a device available or an internet connection. We surveyed students before our school closed to find out which students may have needed extra support, and we believe that we've been able to check out devices to most of them. If you need a device, if something's broken or you need an updated device to be able to do work, please let us know immediately and we will make sure that we get that to you. If you need an internet hotspot, please reach out to us as well. We should be able to provide that for you. Access also means really using these learning platforms. School Loop is the main platform that we are using. It will be utilized for communication about course expectations, assignment details, and student progress. I'm giving you a warning. Students should also be prepared to utilize some additional online platforms like Google Classroom. Google Classroom lets us do some different things, and so it's a necessary tool for us to be able to deliver curricular content, collect student work, and return teacher-evaluated work. Our students are used to working on multiple platforms, so this should be really familiar to them. But if they have any questions, they need to reach out to their teachers and make sure that they have clarity on where to go to get what they need. Access also means ensuring that all of our students can learn at high levels. And for some students, this means getting certain accommodations to be able to access the curriculum. Students with IEPs should have already received contact from their case managers. Our special education teachers have put together calendars to make sure that they are checking in weekly at minimum with their students to make sure that they are making progress as we do distance learning. So if parents haven't spoken directly with a case manager, please reach out. They are ready to help you. Students with 504s are still entitled to their accommodations. Your point of contact is the counselor or the administrator. So if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And lastly, I want to emphasize that accommodating our students is part of our role in education. Our teachers are already familiar with the needs that our students have and ready to make those accommodations, whether we're at school or whether we're at home. So we've gone through a massive organizational change over the last week and a half. As you may be familiar, education has looked pretty much the same for well over 100 years. And over the last week and a half, we've turned everything on its head. So we're making a lot of progress, and we're making a lot of progress quickly. But this means we're going to have to make some changes in what we do. Our focus in all of our classes is always students learning essential standards. As you're already familiar with, our state gives us a long list of standards that our students are supposed to meet in each of our classes. Our students do meet those standards. They do great on all the measures of success that we use to gauge performance. But as we move to distance learning, we are going to be drilling down to some essentials. We already do that in the class to some extent because there are some essential skills that students have to move to the next level. Students in English 1 need certain things to be ready for English 2. Students in French 3 need certain things to be ready for French 4. And so what our teachers will be doing right now is adjusting some of their plans to ensure that we are focusing on those essentials so that when we come back, students will be ready for the next step. I want to emphasize here, because you're starting to see some different types of strategies being used by our teachers, that we use different strategies for different outcomes. So just like in the classroom, we might use a different instructional strategy to get a different learning outcome from a student. As we move online, you're going to see different tools used based on what the teacher is trying to do. Synchronous learning through Zoom or Google Hangout when students are meeting all at the same time are really great for checking for understanding, allowing students time to ask questions, and engaging as a class and connecting. Many teachers are using this tool and will continue to use that tool moving forward. Because not all of our students have the same situation at home, all of those lectures will be recorded and posted. So if students cannot attend, they can follow up by viewing the recording. What you will see from all of our teachers to some degree is asynchronous learning. These are lessons that are posted and happen independently. But let's not get it twisted here. This doesn't just mean that students are given writing assignments or workbook pages to do. It could be that teachers are using Web 2.0 tools like screencasts and YouTube to bring really engaging content to their students. These asynchronous lessons are really good for students applying learning, independent practice, and they also allow a lot of flexibility for students with various needs and various things happening at their homes. So how are we going to do this? Well, our teachers need some training. So on Friday, March 27th and Monday, April 6th, our teachers will be in professional development. They're going to be learning some new tech skills, but they're also going to be collaborating with their course-alike teams and calibrating their new grading practices and sharing ideas. We want our students to have equitable experiences across our classes, so us having some time to really hone in on what that's going to look like is going to be really important to a successful rollout for your student. So what should your student expect? Our old system really needs to be replaced, and I will follow up with a more detailed explanation of student expectations over a spring break so that students can get prepared when they come back for those updates. But this is what we want our students to be able to do. We want them to know how to find assignments. We want them to have information in advance so they're able to plan their time. That means seeing postings on Monday so that kids can plan their time for the entire week. We want students to have tools for planning their time to complete the work because independently coming up with a schedule is a challenging thing. So we want to help them be able to do that. We want them to know how to get extra help from teachers, counselors, and administrators. We want them to complete the 2 to 3 hours per week in each class of work that they're going to need to do to show effort and engagement towards earning credit. And we want them to connect frequently with the Miramani community. So how are we going to gauge excellence? And I really believe that we can still do this. Our primary way of assessing students is going to be formative assessment. Formative assessment gives the student the opportunity to improve his or her learning because it informs the teacher and the student about the next steps in the learning process. Formative assessment is the ideal type of assessment. It's what we've been moving towards these last few years as we've really been looking at the work that we do in our classes. Formative assessment is amazing because it gives multiple opportunities for our students to learn, and they get feedback so that they can meet those essential standards. This is really what we want for our kids because there's an emphasis here on mastery of learning rather than just the performance outcome of the grade. So as we shift, we're going to be shifting into more formative assessment because we want all students to learn those essentials at high levels. And we know that our old systems don't work very well remotely. It is hard for us to secure a formal assessment for students taking it home. And we don't want any students at a disadvantage because some students may be using outside resources while being assessed. So let's talk about grades because this is an area of a lot of concern for our families and our students. The grading policy fourth quarter will be based on credit, no credit. And this policy supports all students by refocusing, like I said before, on mastery of the standards over the performance outcome. We want students to achieve mastery, and achieving mastery, getting credit. We must reframe because all students have to have access to the standards. We must be able to ensure equity for our students. And because, most importantly, our primary objective is the well-being and the connectedness of our kids during this time. It is very, very stressful in our world right now, and every household looks a little bit differently. We may anticipate that families are going to experience some sickness, or some family members are going to be experiencing some sickness. There's a lot of stress globally. The last thing we want to do as your educators is put additional burden on our students. So we want to zero in on the most important thing, keep our kids connected, and ensure that learning without putting our kids into cognitive load, because we care about their well-being at the very center of what we do. There have been a lot of questions that have come up, so let's go over a few. A lot of students have asked, what will happen to my third quarter grade? Well, third quarter grades have now all been submitted and they're being published this week. So third quarter grades are in the books. Your third quarter grade is not invalidated because we are learning from home during the fourth quarter. It's still staying right there, showing a representation of what students have learned. So nothing's going to happen to that grade. If you did great during the third quarter, you are set up to do great during the fourth quarter and earn credit. If you struggled during the third quarter, just like any other fourth quarter, you have the opportunity to improve on your learning and continue to make progress and get to a place that you want to be at the end. Some students are asking about things that didn't get done third quarter, and will they have the opportunity to make those up? The answer to this is yes. Our teachers want those third quarter grades to be a really accurate representation of student learning. So if there were odds and ends that didn't get completed because we thought that we could come back and make up work, teachers will be reaching out to students directly to try to find alternatives for making up that work so that third quarter grades feel real authentic to the learning during that quarter. What will colleges think about credit, no credit? This is a major concern, and I understand why. So a few things about colleges. First of all, they're going through the exact same process right now that we're going through. They're bringing their students home and they're transitioning to online learning. They've got a lot going on right now. So we haven't heard directly from colleges yet about how they're going to handle transcripts from the fourth quarter students who will be applying over the next few years. And the reality is everyone globally is being impacted by this. So colleges will have to, and we anticipate that they will very shortly give us a little bit more clarity on how they're going to handle the transcripts of our students who are out of school during the fourth quarter. I want to remind everybody that almost everyone is out of school right now, and the guidance in most places is to offer credit, no credit. In fact, there are some places that are not offering anything for their students. We cannot imagine a scenario under which colleges would punitively punish students who weren't able to show marks for the fourth quarter. And we believe that they'll be putting out clarity very, very soon. We know that already we've seen College Board that does AP and SAT testing change their policies to work around the changing environment that we have right now. And we anticipate colleges are going to do the same. I know that waiting is hard, but I think that we're going to be getting updates very soon. And when we do, I'll be sure to pass those along. Why should I even try during fourth quarter? This was something that came from some of my students, and my answer is pretty simple. In order to earn credit for fourth quarter, students do need to be engaged and show effort. So if students aren't doing anything, they will not earn credit for the fourth quarter. Some students have said that they find it unmotivating to earn credit or no credit, and they would rather keep their third quarter grade and use that grade for the fourth quarter. I feel like it could be more unmotivating for students satisfied with their grade during third quarter to keep their grade for the semester, because then the motivation to continue learning the new standards would not be very high. Right now, students need to try during the fourth quarter because they're still learning to be done. And so in order to get that credit and to demonstrate that you are learning essential standards, you're going to need to put some effort in during the fourth quarter. Why don't I have an option of a letter grade? This is a really great question and one that we're talking about a lot at the management level. Many colleges are offering students a choice between a letter grade or a pass-fail. Right now, we're doing credit, no credit, but we're leaving the option open to explore the possibility of a letter grade later on. I can't promise that to you because there are so many unknowns right now, but what I can promise is that as things change and we get more updates around when we will be open again, we'll be evolving with those updates and making changes. So while I don't have a definitive answer for this right now, I want to promise you that we are considering ways to provide some different options to our students, and we'll be sure to communicate those with you as soon as possible. What are other schools doing? Well, most schools are doing exactly what we're doing, if they're even doing anything. And there are many, many schools that are not giving any curriculum to their students right now, or very minimal curriculum. And the reason is, in some places, the access issue with technology is really much more severe than in our community. So in many schools, there is not a lot of learning happening right now. In the schools that are doing distance learning, they're doing very, very similar things to what we are doing. We are not operating in a vacuum. We are following guidance from the state, and we are in alignment with the other local schools around us with regards to our policies. Why is there only 2 to 3 hours of work per week? We thought long and hard about this, and this is a big change from going to school all day long and then doing homework in the evening. The reality is, in order to meet those essentials and make sure that we are really giving you the support that you need to be able to learn at high levels, we need to drill things down and make it more manageable. And we believe that 2 to 3 hours a week per class is really the right number for us to be able to achieve this outcome. We also want to be conscious of the fact that the reality in each home is a little different. People may be sharing devices, bandwidth might not be great on internet, and there's a lot of stressors right now. So we believe this gives us the ability to meet those essentials at high levels while keeping our students well. Could this change? Yes. Things are changing daily, and what I can promise to you is that I will continue to evolve and communicate as things change. So stay tuned because there will probably be more updates. Lastly, I want to thank you for your patience. There is tremendous discomfort in the unknown right now, and I know that this is really hard on everyone. I want to promise you again that we are here for you 100%. And at Miramani, we want to continue to be the Mata home and make sure that we're taking care of all of our students and our entire community. So thank you for listening this evening, and go Mats.